Good evening. Welcome to the December 16th Village Board meeting. This meeting is now called to order. Rika, would you please lead us in the pledge?
We muted?
She might be. I'm sorry, folks, I was muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America,
and
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Madam Clerk, I believe we're going to start with a public hearing. It's not the first time we've had a public hearing on proposed local law 8 related to special events. There have been a number of modifications to it since we first started talking about it. Stuart, are there any updates to talk about tonight? I don't know that there's anybody waiting to talk about that. I will look and see. Madam Clerk?
You have to take attendance first.
Oh, go ahead. You'd think I'd have gotten, I figured this order of operations out by now, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Trustee Fritchie?
Here.
Trustee Levin?
here.
Trustee Lopez?
Here.
Trustee Quesada?
Present.
Mayor Garrity?
Present.
Now on to the public hearing.
Let me just fill in a couple of blanks. There have been a few revisions to the local law since the last public hearing. The definition of a block party has been further refined following our discussion last week at the work session. Additionally, the area for which notice is required was reduced from 100 feet to 50 feet so that it would be less of a financial imposition on the sponsors who have to provide the notice. Otherwise, the local law is similar as to what it was at the last public hearing. The insurance requirements were reduced from 1,000,003 million to 1,000,002 million. We have specified the need for a security deposit, and that's the proposed local law as it is right now.
I'm talking to myself, and I think we're also waiting for an updated version of the protocols and procedures that go along with it for the trustees next year and the mayor next year to be able to take a look at and have a full understanding of what the implications would be for event organizers.
Correct.
Okay. I'm looking to see if anyone is raising their hand because they're interested in commenting on during the public hearing for proposed local law 8. I'm not, hold on, let me see. I'm not seeing anyone yet. I'll pause another moment. It might take a moment for folks to discover where the little blue hand raised is.
It's on the phone. Do we know? 717?
We do not.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. And this has been open for a number of weeks, so it's not surprising. We have had the opportunity to hear from a number of organizers before tonight. So Stuart, is it, you folks, it's up to you. Do you, trustees, do you want to keep this open until January when you've had a chance to look at the updated protocols and then close it? Or do you want to close it tonight? That's what we can decide now.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go right ahead.
Oh, I'm okay to close it tonight. I think it was just Manny that had issues even last time, but I'm okay to close it. But Manny, if you still have issues, obviously.
No, I'm okay to close this now, okay. And we'll just wait for the process. How do we go forward next year? So, thank you, Stuart, for all the work that you have done, and everybody else that worked on this. Yes.
Thanks to Jamie and to Bill Garrison for their invaluable help.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I'm good to move forward with it.
All right, then can we have a motion to close the public? Can we have a motion? I'm sorry, Omar, Trustee Lopez, did you want to say something about this?
No. I agree.
All right, then can we have a motion to close the public hearing on local law 8?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. Okay. Next up would be mayor's and trustees' announcements. Does anyone have any announcements this evening?
I'm going to start on this evening. First of all, a special warm welcome to Mayor Garrity, for this is, I believe, the last session of your administration. I think everybody on this gallery thought it would be sort of nice to say a few words. And so we put together a video that we would like to share with you. We were hoping to do it in public. We were excited when the community center was opened and started planning some really nice things, but it's 2020. But the nice thing about videos is that we were able to include some people that normally maybe we would not have included. Oh.
Okay, Victoria, guess what? This is your dad. I'm probably a bit biased, but I remember you as a kid, you were always putting your heart, trying to make everybody feel like they were part of the whole group. And you've done that in Austining with flying colors. You've done so much in this community and make people feel that they're part of it and they can make a change and make a difference. Congratulations. I'm sure you're going to break another leg someplace else.
Well, Victoria, your 8 years as an elected official in Austining have been incredible years of accomplishment, and we're all very proud of you. And during all of this, you've raised Paxton and Levon, two of the most terrific grandchildren who exist, and we're so proud of everything you've done for the community and for your family, and for Eric to encourage him in his career and his pursuit of business life in Austining as well. We are thrilled for all your accomplishments, and you've set an incredible example for the boys of an involved and valuable citizen in their community. Congratulations, dear. We love you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Victoria. We are wishing you the very, very, very best of luck, and want to thank you for being our mayor and for your presence here at Croton Avenue. You've always been so pleasant to deal with, and we've been so impressed with how much you know about all of us here at 16 Croton Avenue and all the residents in Austining. I know for sure you're going to be successful, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Hi, Victoria. I just want to thank you for all the good work that you've done in Austining as the mayor. I wish you all the best, and have fun in the new chapter of your life.
Is it frozen for everyone?
Bye. But we'll see you around.
No.
Hi, Victoria. I just want to thank you for everything that you've done, and I hope this new journey brings a new light, and I wish all the luck to you.
Hey, Victoria. It's a little hard for me to do this just because I've been enjoying the past couple of years working with you. So there you go. I want to say thank you for everything that you have done for us, for our community, for the village board. On behalf of the village board, I want to say thank you. Thank you for everything, and I'm really, truly going to miss you.
Hello, Mayor Garrity. We just want to say that we will miss you, and we definitely wish you the best in all your future endeavors.
Thank you for everything, Victoria.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Mayor Garrity, for all you've done for Austining. We wish you well in all your future endeavors.
These past 8 years have flown by, and I want to thank you for always leading with a moral compass, inspiring activism, and providing support. I know that wherever your next chapter begins, that you are just going to bat it out of the park, and I will miss you terribly, but hope to one day be able to work with you again.
Victoria, I remember sitting in Kumbaya with you, imagining what downtown Osning can look like, and it has come so far. Thank you. As Esme says, you're a badass.
Congratulations. You've been a great mayor, and we're going to miss you.
Hi, Victoria. As a friend and a resident of the village of Osning, we are going to miss you. You have done a great job for our community. You have so much talent, imagination, passion, and persistence, and you've done great things for each one of us that lives in the village of Osning. Congratulations. May your next role be a wonderful one. Thanks.
Victoria, congratulations on being our mayor for the past few years. I just want to share with you my thoughts, which is that you are really one of the most outstanding mayors that we've had, in the sense that you took on reorganizing many of our departments, rethinking our budgets, and lowering the tax rate. I think that makes you one of the unsung heroes, but in my book, a very important part of what you've accomplished. Your tenacity, perseverance, your passion for this community, and your work ethic are second to none. Thank you so much for the service, and I know that we're going to see you for many, many years to come.
Hi, Mayor Garrity. Congratulations on a job well done. Your service has made Osning a cleaner, greener, smarter, and safer place to be. And for that, we all owe you a debt of gratitude. Best of luck from us to you, and please don't be a stranger.
Hi, Victoria. On behalf of Myra, Kelly, and myself, we really enjoy working with you for the past 6 to 8 years. We are wishing you all the best in the next chapter of your career. Thank you for all your support, and good luck. Bye.
Hi, Mayor. With 8 years under your belt here at the village, there's probably only a couple people in this world that know more about the village than you, and so just want to say thank you for your 8 years of service, and thank you for giving me such a warm welcome over this past 9 months that I've been here. And I look forward to seeing the next big thing that you're working on after you end your term as mayor. So you'll be missed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your service. We wish you well. Good luck next year. Go team!
Victoria, it's been a pleasure working with you over the last 8 years.
Best of luck.
We want to say congratulations to our outgoing mayor, Victoria Garrity. It has been an incredible pleasure and privilege to serve alongside you for these many years, and you've served even before some of us have been on the town board. We're very grateful for all that you've done for our community and all the time that you've given of yourself, all of the lessons that you've taught us about how to engage with the public. And we hope that you have many, many more successes in your future. We know you are not going far, so it's not really goodbye, for we shall see each other again very, very soon. So thank you on behalf of the entire town board, and I know my board colleagues want to say a couple words each, so I'm going to turn it over to them.
Hey, Victoria, I want to wish you well.
on your new position, full-time mom, and enjoying your kids and getting to see them at night. I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate that. And I wish you only the best. Thank you for everything.
Victoria, I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Best to you.
Victoria, I wish the best for you. You know, and I guess I feel sorry for the kids now. You're gonna be with where they don't want you.
Congratulations, Victoria. Thank you for your service and happy holidays.
I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon. You're not going to go far.
We're going to get that trolley one of these days. Don't you worry. Congratulations again.
Matt, I learned a lot about politics and government from her 6 years in there.
Yeah.
And your mayoral job, like, it was like a really cool, because like every time my friends, they would always be like, oh, is that the mayor's son? And it meant a lot to me. And it was cool being the mayor's son. And also, I think you did a really good job as mayor. You changed a lot of people's lives, and you changed Austin for the better. And you were the first you were the first woman to be mayor. And
First woman elected.
First woman elected mayor in Austin. So that was pretty cool. And
I just want to say that we love you and we're grateful for your service, and we three probably have the greatest insight of anyone of your dedication and service over the years. And this community is better off for it. And I'm sure the boys have experienced a level of engagement in the community that will be with them for the rest of their lives, and they'll always be participatory in whatever community they land in, whether it be this one or somewhere else. So we love you. Done a great job. Very impressive, intelligent woman, and I'm gonna be sorry to not have you as my mayor anymore. We love you, babe.
thank you.
I'd like to thank you, 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 thank you. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you. We love you.
Oh my God, you guys are awful. I was crying when I dabbled in. Now I can't stop ugly crying. That was so sweet. Thank you so much, Jamie. I know you did that. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who took time to say something. And
well, if I may, I'm not sure if anybody else wants to say something, but I would like to take a few minutes. You know, originally my video was actually more like 5 minutes, I think, close to 6 minutes long, and then I got
told 10 minutes, Manny.
Yeah, and then I got
Two of you, it was 10 minutes.
Yeah. Thanks. I was trying to minimize that, but there was so much things that I wanted to say, and so much things that I think you and I gone through, and I'll be grateful for everything that you have done. That's not it's weird seeing myself in a video like saying those things, but it took me a while. But there's something else that I want you to have, and obviously I have always tried to do something unique, I guess, in a way. Every time that someone is special within our board, our police department, or within the village government has gone, you know, leave government to something better, you know, in a way. So I have something on behalf of the village board. a little bit kind of heavy, but I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it, Manny. I can see it. That's beautiful. Thank you. You are so thoughtful. You always come up with the most thoughtful, creative gifts for people. I'm honored that you took the time to think of something so special for me. Thank you, Manny.
I figure, you know, that I love the history of the gavel when you first became mayor, and I love that the history that you brought into, you know, your first meeting, and actually, you know, why when you use the other one, and you explained to me, and I totally understood. Yes, that's the one. You know, this one, it won't be used for kind of any hard banging, obviously, but I think it will be something unique that it comes from the village, from us to you. So thank you, Mayor. I appreciate everything that you have done for us.
I'm sorry, that was that parenting club somebody was talking about. Apparently 12-year-olds don't understand when they need to stay out of the room.
Oh, so hold on. Let me put my video on. Good evening, Victoria. I apologize for not being able to get a part of the video. It's been very hectic in my life with a lot of things going on with the pandemic and work. And every time I turn around to say I'm going to do it, and the next thing you know, I've got a fire to put out on the job or at home. But I know I'm one of the freshmen on the board here, and I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from the three of you. You've helped me through things where you went above and beyond and helped me with some things and reached out to people, and I couldn't express my appreciation anymore, and it helped me make decisions. I think made me a better trustee, and we're all here for the same reason. So I wish you the best in the future, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Bob. And you and I have had some pretty parallel and overlapping paths since I first started in local government. And so it's really bittersweet that we get to spend this 1 year together. And I hope that you'll reach out to me the next time you have questions. Maybe I'll be a little more, I'll be able to help in a different way, because I'll just be some lady who knows a little bit about local government.
Yes, but I can remember the exact day at the car show when I surprised you, and I said, so I says, I hear you run for mayor, and you looked at me and you went, how'd you know that? And I went, telegraph, telephone, tell a fireman, we hear everything.
Yes, I've quoted you many times, Bob. Thank you. It all worked out pretty well.
I can go next.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can round it out, Mayor-elect. I am so grateful for you, Victoria. I came to this community, and in you found someone who takes the position of mayor extremely seriously. You really care to know the details of this work, and you do so in a way that is exemplary in the most granular ways when it comes to things like budgets, but also when it comes to our biggest values and our largest statements, you're willing to be out front there as well. I am raising a daughter, and so proud to be able to tell her about Mayor Victoria Garrity and the kind of leadership she showed for nearly a decade here in the village as mayor. And truly, I don't think that you realize the kind of impression you have, not just here in Ossining, but outside as well. I'm really, really proud to have you represent us for the time that you have. You will continue to always. You've done an extraordinary job as a mother, as a mayor, as a representative of our community. Thank you for showing so much respect to everyone, whether they agree with you or not. I think you've done a tremendous job. I thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you so much, Omar. And for folks who don't know, Omar and I met for the first time in person on one of my weekly walks. And that was I didn't know then what that I would someday get to serve with him on the village board. So that was a really nice progression of our familiarity with each other. And Manny, I just wanted to say, you made reference to my gavel. which is what inspired the special gift. And for people who don't know, my mom, who you got to see in this video, this was her gavel when she was head of the Rainbow Girls for the, as a daughter of the Masons, the Freemasons. And this was a gift to her from her parents. And I didn't really, I guess we took it from my grandmother's house when we closed the house down. So it was really special to be able to use that as my special family heirloom gavel. And Rika, I wanted to let you know that Dana White is raising her hand. So I'm going to let you decide if you want to hear from Dana White first, or if you want to stay with people on screen first. I don't know what's happening.
I think I'm going to let Dana White go, and then I'll sort of, since she is trustee-elect, and then I'll go. But then thank you for letting me know that.
I will promote her to panelist.
What?
And Dana White, if you would like to turn on your camera, you may, but please do unmute yourself.
Hi, Mayor Garrity. I don't have my camera on because, as you know, I lost a front tooth and I just don't feel like the whole world seeing me looking gap-toothed and weird. And that's why I put a mask on. So
there we go.
I can't talk with the flipper in. It's the weirdest thing. But I wanted to thank you for getting me involved in local politics. I don't know why I gravitated to you from the beginning, but I did. And because I had never supported any candidates before locally. And obviously, being able to serve as village historian for 5.5 years, thanks to you, was definitely a life-changing event for me. And also, now I'm a trustee-elect, and I'm going to be taking my place on the Zoom screen here in a few weeks. So I'm sorry I wasn't in the video, and I just wanted to have a chance to say thank you for everything.
Dana, thank you so much for your support throughout my tenure and helping me to get to this position and to educating me about so much Ossining history throughout. And I have a much deeper appreciation for so much about Ossining history because of you. Thank you for your incredible service and friendship.
So I'm just going to say a couple words. We did the video, and honestly, we had a good time actually planning some of this. We ended up with the video because we realized the opportunity to have more people participate, not less, and having your family there is always like fun. But Victoria, we met when I interviewed, when somebody actually resigned, I think unexpectedly, to move on to something else. We had not actually met, and before that in any real matter. So I just used to say, I'll just do a couple of years and I'm sure see what I can do. You turned to me at one point and said, stop saying that, because everybody starts with only doing a couple of years and ends up actually running for mayor. So I think it's sort of prolific in that sense, that you sort of have a very clear understanding, because as people were talking, I realized that so many people in the gallery came on board during your tenure. I mean, Stuart, Kahan, Corporation Counsel you hired, the chief of police, I believe, was somebody that also came during your tenure. The village manager came under your tenure. The assistant village manager, Jamie, who's put this together, has come on. Sonia Tanksley came on. I'm just looking at the names, and I don't think it's because you've been here a long time. I actually thought about the fact that you made a lot of change, and some of it that people don't see on a daily basis, and some of it is really out there in the community, as a lot of people I think on this call would agree with. I'm sure I've left somebody off, but it just occurred to me, obviously Omar and obviously Dana are new, but just looking at really also the staff, because the village is run by a village manager who works with the legislative body. It's something you say it almost at every meeting, that this is a very large village and a rare village at that, and a very active village. So I thank you for all the service. It's been great. Everybody seems to be saying goodbye, but I'm not feeling there's a goodbye here. I'm feeling that it's a hello to the next phase, actually, that you will still be very involved in Ossining. So I really do thank you. And those are only the announcements. I don't know if the trustees have other announcements, so we'll.
Are you planning to do the proclamation?
I am. I don't have the proclamation. Who's got it?
It was sent to you earlier. I'll resend it to you now.
Yeah, I was looking while people were talking and stalling and doing a tap dance. Give me a minute. So I was hoping when I texted you that maybe somebody else had it, but let me look. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's kind of fun. I've signed a lot of them.
Oh, hold on.
Never gotten one.
Not seeing it. You're sending it by email. So many email accounts. Let me make sure I'm on the right ones.
Rika, I just sent it to your village email.
That's what I'm on.
I did too.
Oh, here it is. Okay, got it. All right. Oh my God. Thank God I have my glasses on. Okay. Okay. I did notice that when Lisa Nestor spoke, on her screen was a proclamation, which made me laugh a little bit. Victoria always talks about how Lisa can jump at a moment's notice and put some great proclamations and to do the background and everything on the person. All righty. A proclamation in honor of Honorable Mayor Victoria Garrity. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining recognizes individuals who have shown an exemplary commitment and dedication to the community, and we wish to acknowledge outstanding service that contributes to the quality of life in Ossining. And whereas on January 1st, 2013, Victoria Garrity was sworn in as trustee of the Village of Ossining after serving on the Village Board of Trustees for one term as trustee. She ran for mayor and was sworn in as mayor on January 1st, 2015. Victoria has continued to serve as mayor for 6 years. Prior to becoming a trustee, Victoria had also served as a member of the Village Environmental Advisory Committee. She has served the Ossining community for more than 8 years. And whereas from early on, Victoria was committed to an open government that is accessible and responsive and that empowers residents to actively participate in Ossining's future success. The Ossining community is known for its diversity, and Victoria believes in embracing and learning from our diversity to create a vastly better future. From her, sorry about that. From her Monday mayor's message and her weekly open office hours to her weekly walks around the village, Victoria reached out and made herself available to our residents to hear their concerns and their ideas. And whereas, we're not done with the whereases, we've got a couple here. And whereas Victoria worked toward a vision for the future while respecting the historic charm of our community and with consideration for our environment. Under Victoria's leadership, the village upgraded to LED streetlights, decreasing our energy demand and saving taxpayer dollars. By re-envisioning a sanitary sewage project, she oversaw the creation of the Sing Sing Kill Greenway, a tranquil walking path along the Kill Brook near the Double Arch Bridge, which also was recently restored. Now the craftsmanship and beauty of this historic landmark has been preserved and can be appreciated for generations to come. Victoria always looked to improve our village and our downtown through economic development and placemaking. Ossining is a better place to live, work, and play thanks to our efforts. And whereas Victoria has much to be proud of with what she has accomplished under her tenure as mayor, tonight, Victoria Garrity is being recognized for her leadership, commitment to the Ossining community, and we as a community are grateful and thankful for her service. We wish her much success and happiness in her future endeavors. Now, therefore, I, Rika Levin, Deputy Mayor of the Village of Ossining, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, do hereby congratulate the Honorable Victoria Garrity and do hereby proclaim Saturday, December 19th, 2020, as Victoria Garrity Day in the Village of Ossining, and we urge all of our residents and merchants to join with us in honoring her. Dated today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rika, and everyone, including Lisa, that she is so wonderful at doing so many proclamations. I have 7 sitting in my inbox. Drafts I need to read to have completed tomorrow. She's a wonder. I feel like I want to say something appreciative about everyone on the screen, but I am going to single out a few people. Jamie, Live, Work, and Play, that was in there. Was that you? Is that you? Because Live, Work, and Play. Yeah. That's the phrase she insisted that we use in every DRI application again and again, and we did become perennial favorites. Finalists. Jamie, you've done such an amazing job with communications. It was something I knew we needed to work on when I became mayor. It was one of the reasons I ran for mayor, to be more accessible to the community. And initially, the only way to do that was for me to do what I could in my role, and that was having open office hours. That was doing the weekly walks. That was just trying to get more emails out. I mean, you guys wouldn't believe it, but 6 years ago when there was a snowstorm, I was writing emails and issuing information because the manager's office at the time was not what it is today. So thank you for running with it and just doing it at such a magnificent level. And Karen, you are the 7th manager, if we count all the interims and acting managers, and we count Paul twice. And I am just so grateful that that we finally got it right, and that you're here with us. Thank you so much. And you've put together an amazing team. You told me pretty early on that you knew you wanted to steal Maddie away and bring her to the village, and I didn't know why that was such a great idea, and you did, and you were 100% right. So thank you. You guys are just such a dream team, along with Lisa, who's the one person in that office that was there when I started, that is still there, and still all you guys are just a terrific team. And Stuart, thank you. I was doing a list of all of the, how many things I by number. So only 2, I said 7 managers, only 2 corporation counsels. We are just, we could not have found anyone who cares more deeply about helping us to be informed of everything that we need to know, and especially during this time of the pandemic when the demands from a legal perspective have just escalated, and there's just so much more for us to understand. And thank you so much for taking time to keep us informed and to help keep us on the right path with everything. And you took tremendous leadership, especially early on in our efforts to try and address some of the most intransigent problems of local government, particularly when it comes to code enforcement, and helping us to update our laws so we have better tools to be able to really address some of these really tough issues. Chief Sylvester, so 2 chiefs during my tenure, and it was really a privilege to be able to actually, when I was I think a trustee was when you became lieutenant. It was the first time I ever sat in any promotion interviews, and a couple years later it was really special to be able to make you our chief and to have a whole new vision and philosophy and just a whole new mindset on how a police force can engage with its community. Thank you so much. It's been a privilege to work with all of you. Dale, one of the things I'm most proud of in my time as mayor is the budget and our incredible fiscal responsibility. And it's because of you and your team, and Tom, who of course you worked so closely with for so many years. Thank you for being a great teacher for me, an incredible public servant for Ossining. Jaime, thank you first of all for getting the video to work tonight. And you are my 4th planner. And you are coming in at such an important and exciting time, and I really have enjoyed working with you, even though it's been either on Zoom or with a mask on pretty much the entire time since the first day I met you, the day before the world shut down, and you were just coming on board. It's been a really interesting time for you to get to know Ossining, and I can't believe that I didn't know you before the pandemic. I feel like we've just had so much opportunity to get to know each other during your relatively short tenure here, and I wish you all of you the very best of luck. And that's everybody I see on the screen that's coming to mind. But I've got Paul and Andy, like they're amazing. The infrastructure projects that have been some of my things that have just been so great for Ossining, and most of them are things people don't know about or don't see. The 100-year-old earthen dam upgrade was pretty phenomenal, and one of the most gorgeous things we have, but nobody gets to see it because it's at the water treatment facility. But we know it's there, and it's bringing us fantastically fresh water all the time. But some of the more beautiful, high-profile things are we'll be talking about later on. The lower arch of the double arch and the Sing Sing Hill Greenway that, of course, we've already been highlighting tonight. So, okay, I'm gonna just say thank you to everyone. That whether I singled you out by name or not, there are, I counted as many as 9 fellow elected officials that I've had the opportunity to serve with over the last 8 years, and it's really been a privilege. And all of you and all of our predecessors in these seats understand what an incredible honor it is to serve our community in this most special way. So thank you all for all of the years of working together, and for tonight. It was really lovely. Thank you. I have a more mundane announcements, but if anybody else has mundane announcements, like we have important things going on besides just saying goodbye to me, does anybody else have any mayors and trustees announcements? Okay, then I will just remind folks that we have an online survey happening right now as part of our Police Reform and Reinvention Initiative. It is available all over social media. It went out with the Monday Mayor's Message, and I imagine it will probably be in the web blast tomorrow, right, Jamie? I'm sure it's there in both English and Spanish, and we really encourage everyone to participate in the survey. We have a variety of ways that people can engage with the Police Reform and Reinvention Initiative. The survey is one that we're hoping to get some really strong responses for, as far as a lot of responses. There's also an email address available, which I'm sorry I mistyped. Thank you, Stuart, with your eagle eyes. I mistyped in my Monday Mayor's Message, but I caught it, and now it's been updated. So if you see it online or in the web blast, it will be the accurate email address. And there are voicemails for English or Spanish if you want to tell us, share something confidentially and you'd prefer to speak it rather than write it. So we're looking for lots of opportunities to hear from people in different ways. And thank you to everyone who participated in the recent public engagement sessions in both English and Spanish. There was an awful lot of exchange there. So thanks so much for that. And I think that was the most important things that we needed to talk about tonight. Unless there's something that I'm forgetting, I'll turn it over to the manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garrity. I had given an update before about the storm. We are hoping it is not as bad as it is anticipated to be, but we have everybody out there in full force, and I'm sure the chief will give a further update as well. Right now, tomorrow, the village will be open for operation. The buildings, the Operations Center and Village Hall will be closed to the public because we anticipate that some of the administrative staff and our temp takers may have trouble getting in, but we are available to answer any questions by phone or email. The rec center should open about 12 p.m. tomorrow. Aside from that, not much else to say. This is our, not only Mayor Garrity's last meeting as mayor, but our last meeting for the year too. So I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy holiday. We're doing our best to keep our COVID numbers down. So wear your masks. We have more masks available if somebody should need some. We have some reusable masks. We still have a few left. If a business or group needs them, please let me know, and just call Village Hall and we'll get them to you. And again, safe, happy, healthy holiday to everybody. And again, thank you, Mayor Garrity, for your years of service. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Victoria, if I could. This past weekend, excuse me, we lost a firefighter in our village. He was a 27-year-old member of our community. His name is Andrew Pankin. He was a 5-year member of the department. He was a member of my company. and at the time he was our foreman of the company. It has taken a toll on everybody, especially us in the company, because it's another family for us. And his services will be on Friday morning, I believe at 10:45. It's a private viewing for the family. Fire department will be involved. We will be lined up on M. Wilton Place, and then there'll be a procession to St. Augustine's. Route 9 around St. Augustine's will be kind of congested because there is other departments that are coming with their apparatus. And then the interment is at St. Augustine's. So he was a wonderful young man, and as you can tell, it's a little tough for me to talk about it, but I just wanted to bring that to light. Not that we didn't all know, but in case people that are out there in the audience don't know. So that's basically all I had to say. Sorry I had to come in with a sad note, but I feel that the village should know. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Bob. Bob, did Andrew and his brother come in at the same time?
No, Dan came in first, and then Andrew came in. And when they both, I'm friends with the father because I used to coach at Ossining, and his father coached for wrestling, and so we would talk all the time. So I ran into him, I think, in the sweet shop or Lipton's, and my boys are coming in. I said, yeah, they're joining my company, and he goes, well, make sure you take care of them. I said, don't worry, we got them. So it's a little bittersweet.
Yeah, it's really tough. Thank you for giving us the update on the services. Although it's a tough time because you can't gather the way you normally would and mourn together, but it's an appropriate way to honor him with the parade of apparatus. So thank you for the heads up on when that is. All right, Madam Clerk. Oh no, Stuart Kahan, Corporation Counsel.
Thank you, Mayor. By the way, I don't have jaundice. I did not realize how yellow this room actually was. I must talk to the painter, but she's downstairs and she'll harm me if I say anything really nasty. So, Mayor, thank you for your very kind words. About a little over 4 years ago is when I first came into Village Hall, and I had the interview and I met you for the first time. And the one thing that I can say, and the one thing that's the important thing to say is, not only have you made me a better attorney, you've made the village a better place. When I first graduated from law school, I thought it would be great. I want to be a trust and estates lawyer because all the clients would be dead. So I really don't have to worry about it. Don't have to talk to people and just go, can sit in my office. Well, I do sit in my office all day anyway, as everyone knows, but I actually do enjoy the interaction with the board. You have challenged me on many, many things and made me better at what I do. And I don't think there's really a better thing that you can say about a person. That when you come in, when right now I feel I'm better at what I do than what I was, 4 years ago. I attribute that in large part to you and the members of the board, but mainly you, because frankly, the board took a flyer 4 years ago. They were bringing in someone who was really not a municipal attorney and knew more about medical malpractice. But I do still have the list of doctors you should and should not go to. But so if you ever want that, just let me know. But I do want to congratulate you on your years, but thank you. And I am sure that the future holds only great things. Good luck.
Thank you, Stuart. All just nice reports. No substance reports, but that may change. Chief, do you have a report for us tonight?
Here I come. Everybody stay off the road. We got at least an inch on the ground by now already. So Staff is out all night tonight. We've seen the plow trucks come by our house, at least so far. We will start with public information. Our first interview will be with News 12 at 4:45 tomorrow morning. And we'll be doing local stuff in terms of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, probably starting around 8 o'clock. Staff meeting at 9:30. We'll give another update after that. Some meeting at 11 o'clock, another update after that. In between every meeting, we'll try and give people updates, but the message is going to be the same: stay off the roads. Congratulations on the completion of your term of service. You're one of the last 2 remaining board members that took a chance on an underage police chief with a vision for something that could be different around here. And over the last 5 or 6 years now, our staff has really done everything within their power, and oftentimes much more, to fulfill that vision and create a product that this community can be proud of. So thank you for that opportunity, and I wish you the best in your next endeavor.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Chief. I just want to clarify, somebody said that I'm going to be a full-time mom. I've always been a full-time mom. Like, my kids don't let me not be a full-time mom, but I'm leaving so I can get a living wage. So they won't necessarily see me more. All right, Madam Clerk.
Okay, is there anybody here who would like to make an organizational announcement?
I believe, Martha, Steve Dewey and Sonia Tanksley have an announcement or announcements they'd like to make. So if they can be brought in, I would appreciate it.
Yes, I'm promoting Steve Dewey to panelist right now. He just raised his hand. I will gladly bring Sonia Tanksley in as well. Promote to panelist. I've promoted them both. And so Steve and Sonia, if you'd like to turn on your camera, you may, but please do unmute yourselves.
And good evening, everybody. On behalf of Ms. Tanksley, who just had to leave, she has an emergency call that she's taking right now. Mayor, congratulations and thank you for all your service to the community. And Bobby, I share your thoughts to Godspeed Andy Penkin and his family, fellow firefighter. But Mayor, I'd like to, I'm pleased to announce, with thanks to Counsel Kahan and to Ms. Tanksley, to the general public, that we agree with trying to reduce the traffic in the courtroom. And by doing so, if you've gotten yourself a ticket here in the village of Ossining or the town of Ossining, and or if you've gotten a parking ticket down at the pretty much throughout the village, you can now handle those matters in what we call plea by mail. This has been popular throughout many of our courts in upstate New York, but we do have it now up and running in the Ossining court. So you don't have to necessarily truck down to the courts on Thursday evenings, or you're trying to rush back from work and what have you. When you get any kind of ticket or summons, there will be a date on it. And my advice to all would be to contact the court at that point, and they will direct you to the appropriate town prosecutor. The town prosecutor in the town of Ossining, because it is a town court, handles all of the motor vehicle violations. The deputy corporate counsel, which could not make it here tonight, but she sends her regards and her commendations as well to the mayor. For any parking tickets, you can contact her. You'll please contact us through the appropriate emails to expedite your matters. Hopefully your matter can be plead out and you don't have to appear in court, and an amicable resolution can be made on any kind of tickets that you should get in the area. So thank you, Mayor, all the best, and to all of our incoming Mayor-to-be Levin and the new trustees coming on board. God bless you. Thank you for your work, and happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you very much, Steve. That is really good news. We definitely want to make things more accessible for people. So that's a really important improvement. All righty. And you know what? I'm so glad you said something about Deputy Mayor Levin, because I said all this thank yous to everybody. And Rika, you know, I wish you all the very best. We have had a really, really exciting and interesting time working with each other for these last 5 years since you came on and you were appointed, and then you ran, and then you had to run again. And you've run for office more than anyone, and you are now the second woman elected to me mayor of the village of Ossining, and the first Jewish woman, and I believe only the second Jewish mayor of Ossining. And someone is welcome to correct me or update me, but that's what Dana and White and I could come up with as far as we know of only one past Jewish mayor. So thank you very much for working so hard. I look forward to supporting you in your tenure.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks. I'm thinking that Susie Ross may want to say something. Not sure.
Oh, okay. She hasn't virtually raised her hand.
Oh, okay.
Is she texting you?
Mm-hmm.
She's texting you. We can bring in. Oh, somebody just raised their hand. That's Susie Ross. Here we go.
Yeah.
I see that
Promote to panelists.
Yeah.
Susie, you have been promoted to panelist. If you'd like to turn on your camera, you may. But please do unmute yourself. There you are. You're muted though, Suze. You're muted, Susie. There you are.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. What a lovely evening. I really am. I'm going to talk about another program, but I don't want to miss an opportunity to thank you for 8 years of amazing partnership and all the things that Green Ossining has done. You've just been such a true leader, so bold at times, taking such chances, and you've really just made me really proud. So thank you for that. And of course, I do look forward to working with you sometime soon, whenever that is. Queuing up actually for a program that we're going to be working with. Victoria has worked on 3 programs with Green Ossining, and we're doing another one coming up in January that Rika will be part of. It's another Sustainable Westchester program. This one is called Energy Smart Homes. It's another opportunity. I think we spoke about it when you were all kind enough to support the resolution for us to create the Ossining 100 chapter, but for the community's information, we are trying to reduce carbon emissions through our homes, and reducing our fossil fuel use in our homes will get us to higher goals quicker. So this program, again, Energy Smart Homes, keep your eyes open for it. Again, partnership with Sustainable Westchester, with the Village of Briarcliff Manor, and the town of Ossining, and our municipal leaders who, again, have, carried a lot of weight in making these things happen. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful, actually, one of the first things we worked on, I think, was the Energize program when Victoria was a trustee becoming mayor. So thank you.
I was actually just running for trustee. I was on the EAC and you were on Green Ossining, and we convinced NWEAC that Ossining should be the first community after the pilot to do the Energize program. And you and me were the pair that did that, and that's how I got to know you. And it's been really a great partnership for me personally, and I think for Ossining. Thanks, Susie.
Thank you.
All right, I'm not seeing any more hands raised for announcements, so.
Moving along to village board resolutions. Is there anybody here who would like to address the board on any of the resolutions this evening? You're muted.
Thanks, Martha. Christina Picciano, you've been promoted to panelist, and you figured it out. You heard me say it, you knew what to do. You're on. Welcome.
Hi, okay.
And,
just pulling up my my letter. Do I have to say what the resolution's for, or no?
You can just say like what resolution you're going to be talking about. You don't have to say like A, B, or C, just in general. That's fine.
Okay. Christina Picciano, Eastern Avenue, talking about the village seal. Symbols are our oldest form of communication. They are a universal language. They tell stories. They evoke feelings, both positive and negative. We use them every day on social media and in our text messages. A simple thumbs up, a smiley face, a heart emoji can evoke feelings of love, support, and validation. And some images have the power to evoke pain and hate, like the Confederate flag or swastika. It's why it's time to respectfully retire the Indian head village seal and adopt the double arch seal. and share a story and an image that we can all relate to and universally understand. The water that runs through us, that connects us, regardless of our backgrounds. A historic landmark, a symbol of building bridges and forging pathways to the future. When discussing the current Indian head seal, I'm instantly brought back to the time when an Indigenous woman spoke to my classroom at OHS about removing our mascot. I was 15 years old. If I could go back in time, I wish I had shown her more support and compassion in that moment. Embarrassingly, I was too sheltered and selfish to understand the struggle of Indigenous people and the pain that a mascot created. All I could think about was my own family history as an Ossining Indian athlete. All I could think about were my own feelings. Everything was happening so fast, all at once. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that when I look at an image of an Indian mascot anywhere, I never think of my family or where I grew up. When I think of my family's history here in Ossining, our contribution and commitment to our village, I actually never think of the image of the Indian head, because that is not who we are. We are a diverse village filled with a rich history and compassionate community members. I realized at age 15 for the first time that mascots can cause pain, and I had a lot to learn. By the time my class staged a walkout in protest of changing the mascot, I was one of the few students who stayed in. I realized that our town, despite a small gesture, was setting the example for years to come. We were 20 years ahead of our time, but far overdue for change. In the past 20 years, other schools eventually changed their mascot, NFL teams and commercial food companies also followed suit. And just this past week, the MLB baseball team, the Cleveland Indians, retired their name. History can be cruel and history can be sugar-coated. I don't think the original intention of the Indian head seal or the mascot was to make fun or hurt anyone. It was created out of ignorance and lack of cultural education. We were sold a sugar-coated history that left out the genocide of Native Americans and the stealing of their land. History won't be erased by adopting the new village seal, it will be expanded. Let's set the example for other local municipalities and adopt the double arch seal for our village. If I can't change your mind, and I hope I do, then please, at the very least, commit to 2 items. Not using an Indigenous person as the seal going forward, and sticking with the artist who drew the double arch. I've spent too long in the arts to learn the harsh realities that too often young and more talented artists are passed over due to nepotism and favoritism. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Continue to work with this young, professional, and talented artist going forward if you do not vote for the seal tonight. And with that, I'd just like to say thank you, Mayor Garrity, for your work with this village, and thank you for being an ally to our LGBTQ community and helping me to find my voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. During a public hearing, we generally just listen to what people have to say, so I won't be commenting after we hear it. I'll save my comments for when we vote. I've just promoted Pete Carpenter. You're the next person with your hand raised. You're welcome to turn on your camera, and please do unmute yourself. There you are.
Hey.
Welcome.
Can you hear me? Okay. I just wanted to speak on Resolution J, I believe it was, the village seal. I will read a letter I addressed to the village board. My name is, for the first time in 20 years, just Pete Carpenter. I live on Marshall Place in the village. And the letter is, most of you will remember me, but I'll give a brief history. I was born and raised in the village and eventually bought a home with my wife and kids in the village to keep it our home. During this time, I was a Boy Scout, a member of the Ossining Fire Department since 1990, a 1990 graduate of Ossining High School, and a retiree of the Ossining Police Department, retiring after 20 years of service. I like to think that I have more Ossining pride than the next guy, and even recently tattooed our Indian heritage and Sing Sing prison tower on my left leg. In about 1998, as a Boy Scout, I was able to secure a replacement cannon for Nelson Park, which was donated to the scrap drive during the war. I'm well aware of our history, as it was literally a class in 7th grade. where we would take field trips on weekends around the village and study architecture and all the history of the village. And I honor it and cherish it as much as I can. I'm a strong believer in keeping history alive. The purpose, finally, of my letter is that I like to refer to a Facebook post made by Mayor Garrity, it was a few weeks ago, regarding a commemorative seal made by local artist Daniel Aviles. What an amazing piece he created. I'm not sure who was in on it, but this is a home run. What an amazingly talented young man, and the way he captured the arches and greenway is breathtaking. I'm not sure what the village board's intentions are with the seal, but I implore you to consider adopting it as the official seal of the village of Ossining and fully support the adopting of it. What a better way to capture the beauty of our village than with this rendition. Thank you for your time, and Mayor Garrity, congratulations on your last meeting, and thank you for all you've done. For me as an employee and a citizen, you did an awesome job as mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carpenter. Thank you for your remarks. I'm now promoting to panelist Susie Ross. Again, welcome back, Susie. You know the deal.
I'm back. All right, thank you. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So I'm also going to be reading a letter that I sent to the village. I've added a few things actually since I wrote this, but this is also regarding the symbol and of the Ossining Indian. In 2005, attempting to eradicate flagrant racism towards American Indians, the American Psychological Association wrote a resolution calling for the retirement of American Indian mascots, symbols, images, and personalities in all academic institutions. This resolution was in line with a growing body of literature that revealed the harmful effects of racial stereotyping. The APA responded by acknowledging that this was a teachable moment in all halls of academia. The stories told of this seemingly patriotic symbolism were grossly inaccurate. 15 years later, at a time when the appreciation for diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are being made in more places than not, and where calls for acknowledging and ending racism are rightfully being made, it's time for the village of Ossining to retire a misunderstood symbol of honor, a generic Indian head, and not even that of the Lenape Indians who made Ossining their home. Native American Indians had their land and future violently taken from them. That is our American history and will continue to be as we perpetuate the disrespect for tribal lands and Native Americans by decimating any value one could place on their quality of life, leaving generations impoverished and destitute. It's understandable how some in our community may want to hang on to and celebrate a nostalgic past where memories of community pride were once naively associated with that symbol, a symbol that we have come to learn is quite offensive, among other detrimental things. I ask, is there a single Native American Indian living in Ossining that feels honored by this? We do not need a mascot of a generic Indian head to instill pride in our community. How each of us participates in our community's well-being is a show of pride. Both of my children grew up in Ossining as an Ossining Indian, with those words emblazoned on sports jerseys, hats, and other things. They will never wear those items again because they understand the symbolism behind it. Their pride about growing up in Ossining runs much deeper than that logo. And so while we are living in unprecedented times, times of great change for all of us, let us use this as another teachable moment. I vote for honoring our unique double arch as the Village of Ossining seal, and thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Next, I'm going to promote Rodolfo Moran. Mr. Moran, you've been promoted to panelist. If you'd like to turn on your camera, you may, but certainly do unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mayor Garrity. I too would like to speak on behalf of Resolution J, I think it is. I will read part of a letter that I sent to the board earlier this month. Not in its entirety, don't worry. In Canada, Native Americans are now referred to as Aboriginal peoples or First Peoples. These terms appropriately pay homage to their plight, their role, and their pride. Federal and local governments have taken steps to celebrate local tribes, learn from their teachings, and make amends for past injustices. I think it's time we follow suit by changing our seal to something more representative of our village and not rooted in racism and historical inaccuracy. When the Austining Indian in quotations is brought up, I often hear that we shouldn't erase our history, and I agree, especially when we're celebrating our history, but not when we're making a caricature of it. If we wish to celebrate the Lenape and Sing Sing roots of our village, let's change the seal and have one of our talented artists, for example, Mr. Aviles, create an accurate depiction of these tribes for our next commemorative seals. And in the meantime, once these are created, let's hang these up in our village halls, in the halls of our schools, in our public spaces. Let's saturate our village. Let's pay tribute to them in our Sing Sing Prison Museum. Let's invest more in learning their traditions and customs and ensure these are passed down to celebrate, through generations. That's how you celebrate a group of people. You pay deference, you celebrate, you make amends, and you portray them appropriately. 2020 has been a year of changes and revolutions. It's been a year when the racial inequities of this country have been highlighted all over again, resulting in broken promises and broken hearts and broken systems. And it's been trying and challenging to deal with the sad realities faced by so many nationally, as well as in our quaint little village. But fortunately, these realities have also brought change and reforms. And in 2020, we had to learn that it's no longer enough to be not racist. It's imperative to be anti-racist and to make sure that our children and neighbors do the same. Let's wear the hat of intersectionality proudly. We cannot preach Black Lives Matter or keep families together when we turn around and disparage other groups of people. So this isn't about being progressive, liberal, conservative, new to Austining, born in Austining, Republican, Democrat, etc. This is about being respectful, being mindful, being culturally competent. Let's show our children that as a community, we can take steps towards positive change together as a community. After what they've had to endure these last few months, just imagine the examples that we'd be setting. No, actually, imagine the minds we'd be opening. Imagine the messaging they'd be hearing. You matter, you can make a difference. Stand up for what's right. Thank you so much for your consideration. And
Thank you.
Mayor Garrity, sorry, and I wanted to thank you also for your years of service. I think the reason that I've ever chosen, to be a part of, active member of this community is because I saw you lead with such ethics and just such a moral compass that I wanted to make sure that I paid homage to that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moran, for your thoughtful words and your kind words at the end there. I appreciate it. Next up, Mr. Eric Garrity. You're being promoted to panelist. You may turn on your camera, but please do unmute yourself, Mr. Garrity. There you are.
So thank you, Eric Garrity, Prospect Avenue. I'd first like to say what an incredible wealth of artistic talent we have here in Austining, and how impressed I am with the image created by a community member. Visually, it's just a much better representation of Austining, and it actually has significance, unlike the Indian head. Native Americans are not unique to Austining. One of the positive things that have come out of this pandemic is the large, unified voice calling for social justice. Nationally, in states, municipalities, sports teams, everyone seems to be shedding the racist iconography and tearing down symbols of bigotry and hate. This is happening everywhere. Austining is not leading the way on this, and not that there's an expectation that Ossining has to lead the way on every progressive call to action. But when there is an opportunity to right a wrong or swing the pendulum back from a position of hatred, exploitation, or oppression, we shouldn't falter. Like many growing up, depictions of Native Americans were commonplace. We didn't think anything of it. It didn't mean that, you know, we had any ill feelings or racist leanings, but the world is a different place now, and great strides have been made to educate the public on the significance of these misrepresentations, and our society has progressed and matured. Even in the Deep South, things are changing. And now it's our turn. We are presented with this beautiful option. It shouldn't be a complicated or difficult decision. And anyone who votes against or abstains from voting on this resolution is also playing a role in perpetuating a tradition of bigotry in our nation's history. And personally, I find that offensive and undeserving of holding a position of leadership in our village. So thank you for your time. And one thing that was not mentioned this evening was that Mayor Garrity is also an incredible wife. So thank you. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, honey. Alrighty. Next up. This is a name we've all said in the last couple of months. Mr. Daniel Aviles. You have been promoted to panelist. If you would like to turn on your camera, you may. And please do unmute yourself.
Hi.
There you are. Welcome.
I'm Daniel. I'm the illustrator who created the seal. Victoria reached out to me a while back about this, or a couple months back, and I think when I was working on it, I didn't really understand the significance of it as much. For me, it just felt like something that I could do to give back to this community that raised me and shaped me. And I felt like as an illustrator, as an artist, I always had a lot of opportunities in this town. And so when I spoke with her about it, I learned a lot more about the previous seal that we had. And I do think it misrepresents us in a way. And yeah, I feel like a lot of the discussions that I've heard, people feel like they're losing something when I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because we only have so much to gain from being represented by this image that I created, but any creative, talented person from this town could have made. And if not this image, I'm sure there's plenty of people that could make something that would represent us in a better way. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And thank you, Victoria, for serving as our mayor.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's great to, it's probably the first time that a lot of people are getting to meet you. I met you for the first time at the Double Arch in March, just before. I remember we bumped elbows because we knew something was coming and the world shut down soon after. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Bradley Morrison. Mr. Morrison, you have been promoted to panelist. You may turn on your camera and please do unmute yourself. There you are.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time. And I too, before I speak about our resolution, would just like to say thank you to Mayor Garrity for her years of service, and in particular, getting me involved with the Austining Arts Project. As you all are probably aware, I'm the chairperson right now of the Austining Arts Projects Committee for the village. And I too am looking to speak on my own, not on behalf of the committee per se, but on my own about the same resolution regarding our village seal. And I absolutely 100% agree with all of the speakers who have spoken so far about the fairly repugnant nature of our current seal. But aside from that, as an artist in the community and as an advocate for the arts in the community, what bothers me as much is the lack of artistic merit in our current seal. The current seal, if you were to take it and do a Google image search on it, you will come up with hundreds of similar, if not the same, fairly generic, uninspired images that promote, as everyone has said, fairly dated and racist images of the native peoples of this country. Austining deserves to be represented by an image that is of high artistic quality. The seal that you've been presented with, masterfully created by Mr. Aviles, is wonderful. And so if there is a concern at all about the quality of this design, it's easy to talk about this in artistic ways where we can talk about the balance between positive and negative space that's represented here. We can talk about the unique angles and lines caused by the overarching bridges, as well as the intersecting greenway that has been added, which is beautiful in its own natural habitat, but emphasized here. But even more so, the perspective of it, with the bridges coming at different perspectives, but really a single perspective out in the future, really points us, directs us forward and ahead into the image, as I would hope we as a village are looking to project ourselves forward and ahead. So I would really strongly encourage the board, for all of the reasons that you would ever want to consider having a seal, this seal that you've been presented with meets every criteria that you could. And I just want to put in a little, like, I actually introduced Mayor Garrity to Mr. Aviles. So I'm really happy that we were able to make that connection, and proud to have this professional, amazing illustrator who lives in our community be able to help forge a new vision for what we should be, what we are, and what we can continue to be here in this village. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morrison, for joining us this evening and for your service on the Austining Arts Project, and for introducing me to Daniel Aviles. I remember when I asked you, I think it was at the Valentine's Day event, I said, hey, we're looking for an artist to do a drawing of this, and that was the first name that came to mind, and we all really appreciate his talent. Thank you. Alrighty, I'm going to pause a moment. There's still a number of people who are attending the meeting, but I don't see anybody else currently raising their hand. I'll just give another moment in case someone's struggling with the technology, but certainly had some time. All right, just to clarify, we've heard a lot of remarks about one particular resolution. This is an opportunity to comment on any and all of the resolutions, although I'm not seeing anyone. So, Madam Clerk.
Okay, moving on to resolutions. Approval of minutes, December 2nd, 2020. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austining hereby approves the minutes of the December 2nd, 2020 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, were they updated to reflect the recusal rather than abstention?
I'll forward that to Stuart right now.
But the other thing is, I know you were able to update, but we had.
Yes, I updated other stuff. Stuart, what did we reach upon conclusion?
What we're going to be doing, Mayor, is there is a provision for conflict of interest, and we will note that in the minutes that it was a conflict of interest, and that's why you did not vote on that particular resolution.
Thank you. In this case, that would be accurate, but in general, in general, people can recuse themselves for the appearance of impropriety as well. So I would not want the minutes to be so rigid in their language as to not accurately reflect just either simply that there is a recusal or whatever is the stated reason by the elected.
We just have, yeah, we're working with the iCompass folks to do that. We want to, it will be corrected.
Thank you. All right, then I'm comfortable with supporting it as amended.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Approval of voucher detail, December 16, 2020. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated December 16, 2020 in the amount of $3,760,129.85. Do I have a motion?
So move.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those
Comments on the board? Comments on the board? All those in favor? Aye. Sorry. You'd think I'd have the routine down by now, but let me see if I can get it right before the end of the night. All right, Madam Clerk, what's next?
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resolution approval of honorary naming of North Malcolm Street for Barrington Anthony Walker-Davidson. Whereas the purpose of the honorary street naming policy approved by the Village of Austining Board of Trustees is to honor current and former residents of the village who have made contributions to the village through accomplishments during the honoree's lifetime. And whereas on July 27, 2020, the village manager received a letter from Tangri Walker Reynolds requesting the honorary street naming of North Malcolm Street for her late brother Barrington Anthony Walker-Davidson. And whereas pursuant to the honorary street naming policy, the Board of Trustees by resolution referred the application to the village historian for report. And whereas on or about October 21st, 2020, village historian Joy Sherrock Cole provided to the Board of Trustees her report on the application, which included a summary of Barrington Anthony Walker-Davidson's life in the village of Austining. And whereas the historian's report noted that following apart, Barrington lived in Austining for his entire life of 10 years. He was the third generation of his family of Jamaican immigrants to the village. Barrington was one of 6 children and student at Claremont School when he passed. Barrington and family lived on North Malcolm Street for many years before moving to Snowden Avenue. However, Barrington would spend a great deal of time with his grandmother, who remained on North Malcolm Street. Barrington attended Austining Gospel Assembly and Corton Avenue, and his sister, Tangi Berry, loved competitive sports. Barry was a member of Cub Scouts. It was a consensus of all interviewed that Barrington was an amazing kid who displayed a level of compassion and kindness beyond his years. He had a disdain for bullying and would stand up to anyone who mistreated others. And whereas pursuant to the policy, a public hearing was held on the application on December 2nd, 2020 via Zoom in accord with Executive Order 22.1, at which time members of the public were given the opportunity to address the Board of Trustees on the application, after which the public hearing was closed. Now therefore be it resolved that the application for the honorary street naming North Malcolm Street for Barrington Anthony Walker-Davidson is granted, and be it further resolved that appropriate signage will be located at the aforementioned street. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Comments on the board, and I'll just note that thank you very much, Village Historian Joy Sherrock Cole is with us this evening, and Ms. Cole, if you would like to speak, you are of course welcome to. Thank you so much for your report and your thoughtful insights during this process. Okay.
Sorry, Mayor.
Oh, there you are.
I couldn't hit the button fast enough.
On the spot. I didn't know if you wanted to speak. You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to be village historian, and thank you for your service to the village. You will be missed. And it's in terms of the street naming, he was a wonderful kid. A really very sad situation, but I'm glad that the family will get some peace in honoring his life. That's it.
Thank you very much. Are there any further comments from the board? Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Trustee Levin, how did you vote? I didn't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes. Is it on aye or?
That was aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. Moving on. Authorizing issuing requests for proposals and/or requests for qualifications for engineering consulting services, including wetland consultant. Resolved that the village manager is authorized to issue requests for proposals and/or requests for qualifications for engineering consulting services, including wetland consultant. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments on the board? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Okay. Adoption of changes to fee schedule for 2021 other than water and sewer fees, whereas the village's adopted financial goals and policies requires in part the establishments and periodic evaluations of user charges and fees to help reduce reliance on real property taxes. And whereas the village recently adopted Local Law 7/2020, which revised Chapter 149 in the Village Code, Freshwater Wetlands, and whereas Local Law 7/2020 is effective on January 1st, 2021, and whereas at this time village management has recommended certain changes to the adopted fee schedule for 2021 to include the fee schedule for freshwater wetlands permits. Now therefore be it resolved, the village's fee schedule is hereby amended effective January 1st, 2021 for the following user charges and fees. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Comments on the board? All right, it's something we've discussed at length on a number of occasions, so I guess we've talked it out. Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resolution approving cabaret license for Sing Sing Hill Brewery LLC 75-77 Spring Street, Austining, New York. Whereas pursuant to chapters 100 and 171 of the Code of the Village of Austining Code, the authorized representative of the business Sing Sing Hill Brewery LLC 7577 Spring Street has presented an application to the village clerk as licensing officer for a cabaret license for live music, stand-up comedy, karaoke, etc. And whereas pursuant to section 100-3 and 100-5 of the code, the village clerk has caused an investigation into said application, and after receiving the results of the investigation, the application has been referred to the Board of Trustees for final approval. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves a cabaret license for Sing Sing Hill Brewery LLC 75-77 Spring Street for 2021 as follows. Sing Sing Hill Brewery, days and hours, Monday to Sunday from 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. Types of music, live music, maximum number of performance 8, karaoke, stand-up comedy. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
And for the record, I recused myself for potential conflict of interest. My husband owns one of the owners of Sing Sing Hill Brewery.
Okay. Finance, resolution regarding unpaid cutting and removal charges, whereas the Village of Austining Code, Section 88-8 provides in part, it shall be the duty of any owner or person legally in possession of real property in the Village of Austining to cut and remove all grass, root, and rank vegetation at an average height greater than 12 inches and to remove all bush, dead, or noxious weeds within 10 days after notice to cut and remove the same has been served. And whereas pursuant to Section 88-10 of the Code, when the owner fails to timely cut and remove the grass, bush, etc., et al., the village manager shall direct the superintendent of the Department of Public Works or designate therefore to have the grass, weeds, or vegetation as detailed in Section 88-8 cut and removed. And whereas pursuant to Section 88-11 of the Code, invoices were sent to the persons legally in possession of the premises, and those persons were to pay the invoices within 20 days. And whereas Section 88-11 then provides, upon the failure of the owner to pay the aforementioned invoice, the superintendent of Public Works shall certify the amount to the village treasurer. The amount so certified shall thereupon become and be a lien upon the property and shall be added to and become a part of the taxes next assessed and levied on such property to be collected and enforced in the same manner as taxes. Now be it further resolved that pursuant to Section 88-11 of the Code, the unpaid fees for cutting and removal as set forth in the attached statement from the village treasurer be, and the same hereby are levied upon the property in default and added to the annual tax levy with respect to such property. And be it further resolved, the amounts hereby shall be collected and enforced in the same manner and at the same time as may be provided by law for the collection and enforcement of village taxes. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Second.
Comments on the board? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Finance, resolution regarding unpaid ETPA charges, whereas by resolution dated September 5th, 2018, the Board of Trustees declared that an emergency existed as set forth in the Emergency Tenant Protection Act, ETPA, and whereas by resolution dated February 25th, 2019, the Board of Trustees modified the September 5th, 2018 resolution so that the ETPA would only apply to buildings completed prior to January 1st, 1974 with 21 or more units, and whereas New York Unsolicited Law Section 8628B provides the legislative body of any city, town, or village acting to impose regulation of residential units pursuant to the provisions of this act may impose on the owner of every building containing housing accommodations subject to such regulation an annual charge for each such accommodation and such amount as deemed necessary for the expenses to be incurred in the administration of such regulation. And whereas New York's Unsolicited Law Section 8628E provides in part the failure to pay the prescribed assessment not to exceed $20 per unit for any accommodation subject to this act shall constitute a charge due and owing to such city, town, or village which has imposed an annual charge for each housing accommodation pursuant to subdivision B of this section. Any such city, town, or village shall be authorized to provide for the enforcement of the collection of such charges by commencing an action or proceeding for the recovery of such fees or by filing of a lien upon the building and lot. Such methods for the enforcement of the collection and such charges shall be the sole remedy for the enforcement of this section. And whereas pursuant to the 2019 Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act, the annual ATPA stabilization fee is $20 per unit. And whereas the village received from New York State Homes and Community Renewal an invoice for $17,700 based upon a charge of $20 per unit with 885 eligible units. And whereas
So I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Whereas the village may assess a surcharge for its administrative costs in connection with the ETPA program, and whereas the resolution dated September 2nd, 2020, the Board of Trustees authorizes the village treasurer to A, assess a $5 per unit surcharge for each of the eligible units, B, has the finance department send out notices to the owners of the eligible units, apprising the owners of the $5 surcharge, and that payment must be made to the finance department by December 1st, 2020, and C, have the aforementioned notice advised the owners that if payment is not paid by December 1st, 2020, outstanding amount shall be added as a lien on the building property tax bill. Now, therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to the September 2nd, 2020 resolution, the unpaid ETPA charges as set forth in the annex list are levied upon the listed properties and added to the annual tax levy with respect to such properties. And be it further resolved, the amounts levied hereby shall be collected and enforced in the same manner and at the same time as may be provided by law for the collection and enforcement of village taxes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments on the board?
I do. So Stuart, quick question, or maybe Dale can answer. So we are passing a resolution, and when the whereas we're talking about $17,700, but then at the bottom of the list of the properties, we only have 13,425.
That's correct. We did have a number of properties that actually paid the invoice that went out.
Okay.
That's just the open invoices.
Okay. All right.
That will go to the tax bill.
Okay. Great.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Finance, resolution regarding unpaid water and sewer charges. Whereas the village treasurer has presented to the Board of Trustees a statement setting forth the amount of all delinquent unpaid water and sewer charges in arrears located in the village limits, including penalties with the identification of the real property affected. And whereas pursuant to section 11-1118 of the village law, such water charges are a lien upon the premises affected thereby. And whereas pursuant to section 452 of the general municipal law, such sewer charges are a lien upon the premises affected thereby. Now therefore be it resolved, pursuant to section 11-1118 of the village law and section 452 of the general municipal law, the unpaid water and sewer charges plus penalties as set forth in the submitted statement from the village treasurer B, and the same hereby are levied upon the property in default and added to the annual tax levy with respect to such property, and be further resolved, the amounts levied hereby shall be collected and enforced in the same manner and at the same time as may be provided by law for the collection and enforcement of village taxes. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Comments on the board? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Nope. Okay. Resolution designating new official village seal. Whereas upon the corporate powers of the Village of Austin listed in section C1-2 of the village's charter is to adopt and use a common seal and alter the same at will. And whereas the village's current official seal depicting the profile of a Native American hereinafter Indian head was adopted in or about 1950, and whereas the Board of Trustees believes that the current seal should be replaced with a seal depicting the double arch bridge as detailed below. And whereas the double arch is routinely employed as a symbol of ossining, two masonry arches at opposing angles to each other, a bridge within a bridge, is is unique in New York State, and whereas the design of the new double arch seal created by local artist Daniel Aviles includes recent historically evocative upgrades to the lower arch as well as the Sing Sing Kill Greenway, making this the first artwork illustrating the iconic location as it exists today. And whereas updating the official village shield to depict double arch will align it with the existing emblems of Austin, including the village, recreation and parks, police and fire departments, the town of Austin, the current campaign for the Austining Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan upgrade, and the 2013 Bicentennial Austining in 3D celebration. And whereas public comment has been solicited and received on the change to the village seal, and the comments have strongly favored the proposed double arch designs. Now therefore be it resolved that the official seal of the village of Austining is hereby changed from the Indian head to the double arch design, and it is further resolved that all village departments shall begin the process of changing the new seal as expeditiously as possible. Do I have a motion?
So move.
So moved.
Second.
Comments from the board?
Yeah, I'll go first. So last week, we all sat through a very informative presentation about different village or municipal seals from other municipalities around us. I chose not to comment on this last week at the work session because I felt blindsided. Being a lifelong resident here, graduating as an Austining Indian, and going through the school system changes of the mascot, I have a very deep roots when it comes to this topic. It is upsetting that the mayor took this approach that she did, with no process or transparency with my other colleagues. Basically, we had a design that the mayor chose to put forward without any input from other board members. The choice was made and we had nothing to say about it. Why was there no public input? I'm sorry, but your survey on Facebook does not warrant the input and concerns of our constituents. We have public input on the comprehensive plan, the police reform, just to name a few, but nothing on our seal that represents our village. I strongly believe that the residents of Austining should have input on what will represent our village going into the future. Thank you.
Would others like to comment?
Yeah, if I may. You know, it does, as informative as the meeting was last week in our work session, and I agree with all the comments of the letters in favor of replacing our current seal. One of the struggles that I have is one of the things that I have for the years that I have been sitting in this chair, we always talk about process and how do we approach our community as a whole. So I think the process that was taken is the most troubling part on my end. And I think I want to agree with some of the sentiments that Bob said. I think the process and having some input for the rest of the community that we represent, I think is a valuable point that we need to take. And, you know, and I have over and over and over, I have gone over this in my head, and how do we do this? How do we establish a process? There isn't really a process. We as a village board have the ability to change the seal at any time. But because we have, and we've been elected by the public, I think we have the right and we have the duty to have a public input more than I think it was that we have accomplished so far. So I think that's my struggle at this point. And I have spent a lot of hours talking to different community members from different aisles, I want to say. And there's not a clear answer for me. There hasn't been a clear answer. It hasn't been a clear path. And that's my struggle right now.
Thank you, man.
I can go. So I appreciate all of the folks that have come by today to comment and for the presentation last week. I feel like folks that have worked with me on the board know how seriously I take public comments and public feedback into processes. In order to get buy-in from as many people as possible, I push, and you know me, and you know how important it has been for me to push to get public input when making decisions that affect the public. I also, as I've learned more about village government, have learned about having the right tool to fit the right job. And for the kind of responsibilities that we have, there is a range of the kind of issues that we have power over to make decisions about, and the kind of public input that we ask with respect to those decisions. So all the way on one side of the spectrum is something like fees. So we can change fees at any point. And we don't tend to really get polls or ask feedback or in any really huge substantive way beyond having conversations with ourselves and with the people who might be affected, and talking with staff and using our best judgment. But we don't spend a lot of resources to find what is the community consensus when it comes to what the fees should be. On the other side of the spectrum, you have something like the comprehensive plan, or the police reinvention and reform committee that is absolutely based critically on having as much public feedback as possible. And until we feel like we've exhausted every measure of being able to reach every possible person on and offline, we do not stop. And it makes sense. And then there's a lot of stuff in the middle where we try to use our best judgment to figure out how much energy we should put forward toward public feedback, considering that there is government fatigue that people will have, attention fatigue. They're only going to pay attention to so much of what we put out. We want to be judicious about how we ask for public feedback. And so we use our best judgment. I think in this case, we did a pretty good job of getting the temperature in the room of where are people in the community. Is it a 50-50 split? Is it overwhelmingly for one side or for the other? And it seems to me, and I'm just one guy, I don't know any more than anybody else, like there's a pretty overwhelming sentiment to want to change it for all of the reasons that were given. The new seal is a good choice to go for, irrespective of the current seal that we have. It would be a great seal to have. And the current seal is problematic for all of the reasons that have been given. And so we come to this question of how much feedback do we need to get before making a decision? Another thing that I've learned while I've been in government is that if there's something that is either unpopular or difficult to deal with, there are often ways of kicking the can down the road, kind of never dealing with it. And one of those ways is through process. And so particularly when it comes to something like this, it is subjective. There's going to be no agreement ever. If there were 3 of us in the room, you'd have 3 opinions about what, if you were to ask, hey, let's come up with a seal that would represent the village from scratch. It's a really subjective question. And we would never get to the point where everyone would agree, or a majority of people would agree on, yes, this is the thing. In fact, I think that if you were to do that and then come out on the other side with such overwhelming support for a seal like the one that Mr. Aviles has put together, we would call that a success. And so I don't mention any of this to invalidate. So one of the things that Trustee Fritchie said, for example, was the board wasn't consented when it comes to the design of the seal, which is true. Also true is that our mailboxes are overflowing with people that are clamoring for our help with the pandemic, people that need our assistance with health and safety issues, really issues of consequence for us to deal with. And in this case, the mayor made a judgment call to make an executive decision, choose a design for us to vote up or down. That may be different than the way that someone else would approach it, of having a variety of designs. We would choose a variety of designs, but with a limited amount of time for us to deal with issues. We know that having 5-hour Zoom meetings are not unusual for us. For us to spend more time than necessary on something like, let's decide on what the new village seal may be out of all of these different options, I could see very reasonably how one would say, let's choose a good one, vote up or down, and move on with their life. And so I would say this: if your position is that we need more public feedback, I would ask, is that the right tool for the job? The tool that we need right now is to get enough public feedback to know that we are making a good decision, and then use our judgment as trustees, as elected officials, to make a decision, which, by the way, just like fees, can be reversed at any point. It's not a decision that is going to be permanent or irreversible in any way. And so we should feel comfortable and confident that when we were elected, people knew what they were doing, to trust our judgment with something like this and move forward in making a decision that makes sense. So I'm fully in favor with going with the new seal. And I hope that if there are any arguments against the new seal or in favor of keeping the current seal, that we have those arguments and put aside the arguments of process, because it seems to be a little bit beside the point.
Thank you, Trustee Lopez.
So I know you like to go last, right? And
Go right ahead.
I'll honor that. It's not required, but I know it's your preference. So I'll respect your preference after all these years to keep letting you go last and wrap it up. So for me, there are a lot of conflated issues here, and I'm going to try to sort of go through the process that I've gone through with this. There's a whole bunch of things going on here. I'd like to sort of stay top line, which I think that Omar Lopez did quite well last week. On the issue that was first brought up by Bob Fritchie, that 3 of the board members were left out of a big part of the process. We could go and banter and look at emails when they were sent, when they weren't sent, etc. For me, that's not a good use of time. What is a good use of time is that one of the things that I learned in government, just like we all do, and I learned it from our county executive, is that there are a number of issues that are good about good government. One of those is that getting a bunch of people who agree with you on a topic and getting lots of them into a room is good. What's difficult is to get people who disagree with you into a room and build a foundation of trust and consensus to reach a place where you can all come to an agreement to some extent. It's not just about how many, it's about, we were 5 people on a board. When 3 people feel that they were left out, the conversation of when, how, where is not as interesting as the fact that 3 people who've sat on this board feel, me being one of them, by the way, left out of the process. It isn't what was said last week, it actually is what wasn't said. And there is a long list of that, and it creates, it dents the fabric. It creates a feeling that this board has had and has worked pretty well together, given so many scenarios, and as Omar has pointed out, so many things come to us, but that's actually part of the job. You sort of have to come to terms with the fact that you are here to solve constituent problems, you're here to deal with issues, and you're here to legislate. We don't run the village, we legislate. We pass policies, we look at different issues. So there's a problem when 3 members already feel, and what you saw last week is that 3 members of the board did not react to a presentation, A, because I, for one, didn't see the presentation, which is unusual because we normally get to see presentations, but it felt very much like being left out. And when you feel that way, regardless of whether you were or not, it breaks the fabric of the way legislators like to work, which is that it seems to me it would have been easier to speak to other trustees and get their point of view about what they want. That's not actually how this played out. I could go through a whole lot of conversation, but I'm going to stay with the fact that just like Omar likes to say, you know me, well, I too have been in this job for 5 years, and I do get public input. And I think what Bob was saying is we all came on the wave. Bob and Omar came on the same wave of a vote. Victoria and I came on the same wave of the vote as Manny. We got voted by the same community. And there is a feeling that when you get left out of the conversation, then you're circumventing input from your fellow legislative body. And what I learned from the county executive is the ability to talk to people who may disagree with you on something is really part of the conversation. It's not besides the conversation or on the side of the conversation. So there was a reaction that I got phone calls, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you speak up? Frankly, when I feel that somebody throws sand in my face, as a grown-up, I basically would rather recognize that the sandbox is there next week and there's plenty of time to come back and have a discussion. So what did I do during the week? I called people who I think disagree with me on a few issues. I have most of my time is spent not calling people who agree with me. Most of my time is spent understanding why somebody believes what they do. I don't want to mention names. They happen to be on the call and I didn't ask their permission to discuss this. So what did I learn? First of all, I'm very grateful for the presentation. Looking at the seal, and the Indian seal was not something that was on my radar screen until the conversation started a few weeks ago. And it got on my radar screen, and that's also part of being in the legislative body. I would have preferred, and this goes to process, that only a month and a half ago, we had 2 to 3 opportunities that anyone on this board could have put this as a part of the budget discussion. And with all due respect, Omar, the fees are part of the public conversation. They are in fact part of the budgets, and we do in fact get to change them quite often if we wanted to. A seal, with all due respect, is permanent. The last seal that we're looking at has been done since 1950. Seals are government identifiers. They are not mascots, which I am thoroughly opposed to. And Susie, I couldn't agree with you more about mascots and all that, because mascots are caricatures. I am neutral on mascots because I always feel that they're a little bit wacky. I mean, you know, my high school mascot was a green hurricane. What the hell is that? I don't even know what that is. There was a big fight at my school when they wanted to change a green hurricane. I can only imagine what things propel in other schools and other education institutions. But government seals are not mascots. To the point of whether the seal should stay or not is one issue. To the point of whether an artistic rendition commissioned by the mayor, we, as the mayor said, actually, I think most of us, that means the board members, haven't met the artist. We weren't included in it. What we were included on was a conversation that said, this will be a commemorative seal. To me, the Boy Scout and Girl Scouts wear commemorative seals. There are hundreds of commemorative seals. It was later switched, and frankly, very late in the game, like very recently, did we actually get told that this is to replace the seal. That is quite a different conversation between a commemorative artistic seal to a government seal. So it makes one feel a little left out of the discussion. It's a personal reaction. Nobody has to agree with me. I think the other 2 trustees have other reasons that they don't. Conflating both the government seal with the next seal in a Facebook and in social media 2 to 3 weeks in a row, from my perspective, for something that, again, is not temporary and changeable like the fees and other things we vote on. Actually, it is more permanent than the comprehensive plan. It is more permanent than almost everything we look at, because these seals go on building after building after building. They are about as permanent an item of an identifier as anything gets. They're not on sports uniforms, they're not. And the fact is, for me, that that is a big deal, and that the community should have had a public meeting. One, on the basis of process, that not only should the 5 of us had a conversation whether we believe that that survey should have gone out. So the trustees, and I don't know if Omar saw it, so I can't speak to him, but the other 3, the 3 of us did not see that survey before it went out. Is that illegal? Is it unethical? It doesn't matter. The point is, it should have gone to the trustees before it went out. We should have looked at it. It felt like something that went from really one of the most powerful people in the village, because a mayor is really one of the most powerful legislators. We may all have exactly the same vote, but it went out through the village on a regular Monday letter, and it went out with, by the way, the seal that the mayor prefers, with a question, with commentary about what seals mean, followed by choose this seal. Frankly, the way it reads, I'm not even sure why people would answer that didn't want to see, that want the seal, because honestly, it implied that you believe in genocide and racism if you choose the seal. You know, for a government official to send that out without vetting it with the board, I felt was not the appropriate way to send it. So I disagree with you, Omar, that, you know, there are so many tools and all that. There is a process in place. There is a path that this could have taken in the past month and a half. I'm not talking about, you know, a few years ago. That's one issue. The seal, keep it, get rid of it. The second issue of the double arches, somebody already owns that double arch. Those double arch are already owned by the town as their seal. And that's actually their government seal. It's not their commemorative seal, it's actually their seal. If you believe that your municipality should have different seals, each identifying them, then you should be given options about what other seals look like. To Christina's point in her request, she's concerned, I think, because I spoke to her for, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes. And she said, I wouldn't mention your name, Christina, but you actually said to me exactly what you read. So I think it's mostly okay to do. I learned a lot from that conversation. I don't try to change people's minds. It's hard to do, but it's not hard to listen to people who disagree with your point of view. Not quite sure why Christina thought I had a point of view on it. I've actually never discussed the seal except privately with my colleagues on the board. But when I spoke to her, what I learned is the following. Number one, it's time to change it. It's been since 1950. When is the right time, which Omar asked? The right time to change something that the majority of the community believes is racist and inappropriate, it's now. Why wouldn't you change it? But to get that answer, what the community wants to do shouldn't be done through a Facebook and through the social media outlet that it went, because one of the things that I've learned is that it should be done by the people who live in the village, and anonymous online surveys do not serve that purpose. I don't believe personally, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, that those kind of surveys are appropriate for something that is about as permanent as you get. Do I think it'll last 60 years, 100 years? I don't know, but that's what government seals last. Number three, the village staff should have been included in this conversation, because one of the things that we do is we include, when we do the budgets, we ask for what are the initiatives you're interested in. At that point, and that was like a month and a half ago, folks, no one on this board asked for this to be an initiative, and it is an initiative. It requires public meetings. My understanding from the executive order is that when you have contentious issues and controversial issues, they should be done in a public meeting. It is sort of interesting that anyone thinks that a social media survey with a question of you have a choice of one as the answer to the seal, as the new seal, because you got one choice. So the choice of one is not a choice. The appropriate way to do this without a scientific survey, I'm not sure we need one, is to have a public hearing. We could have done it in a public hearing only a couple of months ago if you wanted to, in the community center where people could have come and spoken. We could have spoken about doing a public hearing about this, and we could have agreed as a board, if we were consulted, to allow it to be done on Zoom, even though the executive order really requires that things that are contentious should not be done via Zoom. It doesn't use the word Zoom, but it talks about remote meetings, so that all of the public, those that use social media and those that don't. And we also ask for people's name and addresses so that we know that they are the people who live in the village of Ossining, and that we know that one person didn't answer the same survey 50 times. So anonymous surveys, which is what I understand this to be, and I was not involved in the survey, but this is what I was told and what was presented in the presentation. These are a lot of issues. What I really learned from, and I don't mean to pick on you, Christina, because I did call other people, but what I liked about what you said and what I learned, and I wrote it down so that I get it right, is that you would like us to remove the seal because of all of the things that you said. I don't need to repeat it. I'm not opposed to that. I'm opposed to the fact that there wasn't public engagement that we have done on lesser issues than what we are going to have for the next 60 years. I am opposed to the fact that it wasn't brought up even with the 5 trustees during the budget meetings, and about a month and a half ago when the village manager asks all of us, which we do every year, about the main initiatives. There are 12 to 18 initiatives that no one brought up this initiative, which could have been brought up. All of our initiatives were accepted. The village staff then goes and says, this is what it looks like, this is where we want it, and we prioritize. That's the process. So when we talk about process, that doesn't delay things. That actually includes the process where the village staff is involved. This is not a minor deal. You are uprooting something that people believe in. If you want my personal opinion, it doesn't really affect me. The comment about my neutrality and my neutral vote is taken out of context, be that as it may. I am neutral on issues of mascots and how they're used in Ossining because I didn't grow up here. But I am not neutral on the fact that it is controversial. It is controversial in Ossining when we change things, and we have to not just say that we're respectful of people that have lived here for many decades, we actually have to show ourselves to be respectful of that. And that is not what we're doing here. Do I think there's a path forward? Yes. And I'd like to actually discuss that. The path forward for this is a public hearing. It does not have to be done in person because I personally think that will be difficult to do in the next few months. Christina had said that she was disappointed that when artists are chosen, it's always the same people. It's always, you know, through nepotism was one of the words. I didn't really think about that and didn't realize that. But I will say that to her point that she doesn't want the process. And Christina, jump in, raise your hand if I put you out of context. I don't mean to, so if I do, let me know. Is going to actually hold all of this up. It's going to take forever because with all due respect to people who are in the world of art, it is all subjective. It is actually very difficult to decide what's what. But that doesn't mean that you only offer one idea on a survey that was sent only through social media. What it does mean is they should at least give a public the opportunity to choose 2 or 3 ideas. For me, the double arch was never a discussion that it's iconic to Ossining and that it should represent. For me, it doesn't represent my view of it. I happen to like the waterfront. I also like the peace sign at the entrance. So not to even be included in that conversation, because that is not an option that was given to anybody, I don't think is the way to run good government. Not on something that we're going to have for the next few decades. So to that point, my feeling about the way this was presented, both to the board and to the public, is that as we discuss the vote that I want to table this discussion, I want this to be included as an agreement amongst the board. I have spoken, and Omar, with apologies to you, I didn't want to disrupt your particular time this week, but I do have a commitment from the other 2 board members. I also reached out to Dana White. Dana White is not a secret, is not a big fan of the Indian head, but it's also shouldn't be a secret whether I like the Indian head. I happen not to like it, but I actually don't think that just my opinion or hers or Victoria's or Omar's or the other trustees is enough. I think that it requires the public to be presented with it. I think the public needs to look at it. And if we have a public meeting and no one shows up, it's okay. And if lots of people show up, it's okay. And that we as a board should come to an understanding of how we want and what tool we want to use that is fair to reach all of our constituents. We will then look at the majority vote with people's names to make sure it is only the people of the village of Ossining that vote on this, and that they vote on it correctly, meaning once and not multiple times, with the effect. And we will get the staff to put a survey together. We will put it out as widely as we can. We will look at the majority vote on that, and then we'll make decisions on removing the Indian head, firstly, and secondly, what replaces it. What replaces it will then have to be looked at by the village. When I spoke to village manager, the idea is that these plaques are all over the village. They're on every building, including the courthouse has a huge Indian head. And so there will be a process, not from a governmental point of view, but an operational point of view of sizing this, scoping it, and getting it done. Manny had suggested that it shouldn't take long. When I spoke to Christina, to me, it seems that if we can make a commitment to make this happen really quickly, I see no downside to looking at this and doing this rather quickly. I do see a downside of pushing this through in one work session, followed up by a legislative session, and pushing this through the way we are. I think there's a downside to people who have been excluded from this process. And I don't think thinking about something for 2 or 3 months and getting it done The other commitment, I'm a little bit all over the place. I do apologize. Didn't have all my notes with me, but it's okay. I do apologize for this. I'm sorry I didn't meet the artist, but I did get agreement from other trustees in my conversation. So it's 3 people at least. We can get a 4th and a 5th, I'm sure, is that there is no issue for us in using the same artist to look at 2 or 3 renditions, including the one that was submitted, which is the double arch. I personally am stating it for the record that I'm not crazy about using the same insignia and the same government seal that another municipality already has taken charge of. It does not sit well with me. And if that were asked of me, that's what I would have answered. But if the public thinks that it's okay, that we have the town and the village looking the same, and that we look like, 7, 8, 9 other logos and different commemorative seals, because that's what we were looking at, that's fine. On the issue of whether the seal is racist and all that, listen, I think the intentions of people who created that was not racist or any of that. I think it is, though, time, 70 years later, that, as Susie pointed out, the time has come to really revisit it, because what may not have been designed to be offensive actually now is offensive. And in 70, 80, or 100 years, there will be a different group in Austining, there will be a different group in this country, and whatever we do, they may choose to keep or they may choose to change. For all of those reasons, and for the fact that this is a multi-layered project that will stay with us for 60 to 100 years. With all due respect, the way this was brought forth to this legislative body is not good enough, and frankly, it's not even good government. It is not that the intentions were bad, the intentions of the people, without a question. We've been talking about the mayor all night. None of those comments changed for me. I would say exactly all of that all over again, because it's all true. And 99% of the time, I have voted with Victoria. This particular item brought up the last month of the administration that we were not, I don't believe was brought in the best way that government can bring these kind of issues to the forefront. For me, I am going to ask that this discussion be tabled and that we look at it first thing on the first session, using the same artist, if the group is good, putting together a survey that is more appropriate and a tool that is more appropriate for something like this, and start having the village, which did not budget for this project, give us a budget for a cost. I will tell you that the budget will not interfere with the decision, not for me. Because as Omar said last week, he didn't exactly refer to this, no matter when we make this decision, it will cost money. So that to me is actually not the issue, but it is the issue that the village was not involved in this conversation on staff, and they should be, so that we have an understanding of how we want to go forward. That's it for me. And I am moving a motion to table this discussion.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. You need to speak. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm done.
Whew. Thanks everybody for your thoughts, my colleagues on the board and the community. Leaders advocate for what they believe is in the best interest of their community. Tonight, let's look to the future. Let's decide to present ourselves to the world as the unique, beautiful, interconnected, and inclusive village that we are. When the seal was introduced in October, it wasn't clear whether it would ever become more than commemorative. As soon as it was shared by email and on social media, community members called for it to become our official village seal. And they were right. Now is the moment for this update. As the nation faces a reckoning of racial justice, my colleagues and I face a simple vote to determine how we will represent our village to the rest of the world going forward. Public opinion overwhelmingly supports this change. The Cleveland Indians are the most recent example of the near universal acknowledgement that it is time to leave the dated and insensitive use of a culture of people as mascots behind us. Here in Ossining, we received over 1,800 responses to an online survey, with a supermajority of 77% preferring the new double arch seal. The iconic double arch is the symbol of Ossining that we turn to again and again. Two masonry arches, a bridge within a bridge, is unique in New York. The old Croton Aqueduct began construction in 1837. The Broadway Bridge was built in 1861, with restoration completed in 2020. The Sing Sing Kill Greenway was completed in 2016. Together, these bridges, they connect us across generations through the heart of our downtown and up and down the region. This symbol is already in use everywhere in Ossining, other than as our official village seal. Currently, it is the symbol of Ossining Tomorrow, our comprehensive plan, the update that's already underway. In 2013, it was the symbol of our bicentennial celebration. And it appears on the seal for the police, fire, the town, and our recreation and parks. With tonight's vote, we have the opportunity to align the official village seal with the de facto symbol of the village. The double arch seal honors our history with an image unique to Ossining. The beautiful artwork created by young local artist Daniel Aviles illustrates the historically evocative upgrades to the lower arch, and for the first time in a piece of village artwork, incorporates the Sing Sing Kill Greenway below. It is worth clarifying for people who have fond memories of growing up as an Ossining Indian that that was a school mascot. Nearly 2 decades ago, the school district engaged in a public and very contentious process that led to abandoning the Indian as their mascot. They did not have a ready alternative and still made the decision to leave behind an image that was insensitive and seen by so many people as deeply offensive. Nostalgia for an image that reminds some people of growing up with their school mascot as the Ossining Indian should not in any way influence a decision about the future of the village seal. Rika, it is disingenuous to say tonight that you are abstaining from the vote because you don't support the process. You decided in October that you would abstain from the vote before the seal was even unveiled to the public. Before anyone in our community had a chance to respond to it, you decided you would abstain. The executive order, by the way, is related to contentious local laws. This is a resolution. You suddenly have a lot of ideas about process. I ask my colleagues tonight, please do not cast a vote about what's best for our community, this wonderful village we serve together, because of your feelings about how much you and I talked about the seal. Tonight, we heard remarks about process. This is the excuse of last resort by anyone who doesn't want to come down on either side of an issue. The people who don't want the seal to change will never be satisfied with any process. There's a good reason why government is notoriously slow. Many of the decisions we make impact the safety, quality of life, environmental sustainability, and economic stability of our community. Important and complex decisions demand in-depth scrutiny. I hope this isn't the result of tonight's vote. But if this resolution fails or is tabled, as a taxpayer and someone who has prioritized fiscal responsibility during my tenure, I ask that the village please do not waste any resources by embarking on a process that is doomed to be unsatisfactory and for something that does not directly impact the lives of the people of Ossining who are struggling so mightily right now. dedicating thousands of taxpayer dollars and hundreds of hours of staff time to engage in a divisive discussion about the village seal would be a shameful waste of public resources. Some things do require thousands of dollars and hundreds of staff hours to manage a public engagement campaign. A comprehensive plan forms the foundation of land use decisions and code. It is complex, multi-layered, and will impact generations of Ossining residents. That is a worthy investment. A police reform and reinvention initiative that builds trust and creates a safer environment for all Ossining residents is a worthy investment. Redesigning state roadways to be safer and highly functional is a worthy investment. Ossining residents still have one of the highest effective tax rates in the county. All of us here have worked hard to hold the line on taxes. During my tenure, we have worked to be a more affordable community by creating a net decrease in the village tax rate. Spending taxpayer dollars and staff time on something that is symbolic would be irresponsible, especially at a time when families and local businesses are experiencing the worst economic devastation of our lifetimes. Right now, especially, people need the village to use our resources to provide youth programming as families are struggling to stay afloat financially. The village will need to increase attention to our parks as we face another spring and likely summer when the public flocks to outdoor spaces as safe havens. Local businesses need the village to support them as they attempt to recover from the devastation of the pandemic. This village has worked too hard to proactively address Ossining's effective tax rate to suggest that the best path forward is to waste money on rehashing a public discussion that took place 18 years ago, to answer a question that has already been answered by every existing Ossining logo, patch, and campaign, only to come down to a subjective question about artwork. Adopting the new double arch seal is procedurally a simple change. The power to change the official seal is granted to us by the Charter. To me, most of America, and a supermajority of the people who responded to the recent survey, the path forward is clear. If this resolution does not pass, the headline tomorrow will be Ossining votes to keep Indian Head. That message, like our current seal, is antithetical to the values of our village. It will get picked up by the local press and likely juxtaposed with the news earlier this week about the Cleveland Indians finally abandoning their nickname. I certainly hope, I sincerely hope, that a majority of my colleagues join me in voting yes on this resolution tonight. If that doesn't happen, please do not embark on a lengthy process that is doomed to be unsatisfactory and most definitely fiscally irresponsible. Eventually, our leaders need to demonstrate leadership. I call on my colleagues today to vote in the best interest of the community. Ossining deserves a seal that shows the world something unique and beautiful about our history and the heart of our village. Please join me in voting for the double arch seal. In 2021, please focus on rebuilding our local economy post-pandemic, strengthening mutual trust between local law enforcement and our communities of color, and comprehensive planning that fosters economic development through a lens of social justice and sustainability. Those are important, worthwhile initiatives that deserve and demand your attention, and appropriately use our precious taxpayer dollars. Dragging this into next year will only waste money and will not result in a more clear option than you have right now. Art is always subjective. We are elected to serve and represent one of the most racially and culturally diverse communities in the country. We pass resolutions and make statements affirming our community's values of diversity and inclusivity all the time. Tonight, we have an opportunity to live that value. And we can do it by honoring our unique history. Rika, before you speak again, because you've already made it clear what you're planning to say next, the only person who has indicated that they have that they're still considering their vote is Trustee Quesada. So, Trustee Quesada, I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I know this is not easy for you, and I really appreciate how much you have thought about this and how many of us you have spoken with in recent weeks.
Yeah, I will not disagree with stuff that you had mentioned. Taxpayers' money is something that is valuable to us, and we struggle to save. How do we save money? Sure, I voted against. I was against some of the additional fees that came in front of us a couple weeks back in regards to the planning department. So I agree with you. And how do we spend taxpayers' money? The struggle for me is, what is the right thing to do? How do we value the right thing to do? There's not a textbook. There's not someone that you can go and ask and say, this is the right thing to do, because it comes from values. It comes from you. It comes from learning. It comes from experience. The right thing to do. Sometimes it's even small things like common sense. We try to teach that to our kids. The right thing to do, it is look into what auctioning is. You know, one thing that I can ask the panelists, and some of the panelists actually, they know this answer, and some of them, you know, I learned through the history, what does auctioning really mean? You know, and what does that look like in regards to a seal and the representation of us? You know, auctioning is, the meaning of auctioning is stone over stone. And that's has a lot of meaning to it, and it has a lot of meaning to a lot of people. Has a lot of meaning to me. To me is it has come down to the process, and the process that I'm hoping to see, if anything, will be something that I don't want to see drag on for years. And even in the implementation, Mayor, you asked me, you know, how do we do this implementation? Sure, the implementation of the new seal, whatever that looks like, if we decide to go with the seal that we are presenting or something different, it should be incremental, you know, through the year, because it's a big change. It has represented auctioning for many years, and we want to make sure that we get it right. And how do we do that? So I'm proposing to have, I would like to table this, to have a discussion for the work session. And I can give you my word that this will not take a whole year. This will not take 6 months. We'll put a time frame on this, And I'll make sure that staff time is not wasted on something like this. I will put myself out there to say that I will work on this personally. And work with whoever may want to be part of this process on the board to make this successful. I think at the end of the day, when you first presented me with, when you first showed me the two seals, I want to say it's the same seal, but the two different color backgrounds. I said, I love this. This is awesome. This is great. I still feel that way. But like you said, an artist, an art piece has different meaning for other people. Because I like it, it doesn't mean other people are gonna like. And I'm gonna bring something out that I haven't said in a long time in a public meeting, in a public setting. The roundabout. I haven't said this in a couple of years now. And it was my idea to have a roundabout. We had this whole discussion. We were going through this whole traffic study and how we're going to do this. And as much as I still, and I want to be in a record at some point, as much as I like the roundabout, and I think will be something of a special vision on our downtown. Again, that's my opinion. That's my personal opinion. But there's times that my personal opinion has to be put aside because I do represent a larger community. There are cases that my opinion do count. There are cases that, I will put my 2 cents or 5 cents sometimes in an opinion like this. In this case, I would like to hear the feedback of the public, of the community. So I will ask my colleagues if we can table this for the next work session. That will be the first item of discussion. And I want to engage this as much as we can and move the process forward and looking at a different option and what Austin is going to look. As Deputy Mayor mentioned, in location, and even what Christina mentioned as well in regards to the autism days. I think he has a lot of talent, and I would like him to be part of this process as well. So that's where I stand. I will ask the board if we can we can table this resolution and have a discussion on the next month, first work session that we'll have. So I'm going to ask Stuart on this. In regards to the process, I know there's a motion right now on the floor, but I have put a motion to table this item. What are the next steps, please, Stuart?
Motion to table takes primacy over the motion for the resolution. So if the motion to table is seconded, then it would be voted on.
Thank you, Stuart.
Are we voting on tabling it, or are we voting on the resolution actually right now?
Was the table seconded?
Okay, so.
Was it table seconded?
No.
Not at this
No,
point yet, Bob.
nobody said anything, that's why I was asking.
Okay, because
Oh,
Rika,
Rika,
you're
muted. Rika, you're muted.
I think you're muted, yeah. I didn't know what's happening.
I'm sorry. I was
There you
trying to ask.
Thank you.
So it's the motions to table was brought up by Trustee Quesada. Did you second it, Bob, or are you just asking a question? I'm sorry.
No,
That's I was trying to understand.
I'm sorry, you were talking and I didn't know if you had a point to make.
God, I was seconding. I was saying I second it.
Okay.
Well, we're tabling it then.
No, you
No,
have
you
to
need a
now
third
take-
vote.
you
In a
have-
second, you have
you
to
have to
vote
now
on it.
take the vote on it, Martha.
Okay, okay. So ayes for tabling it?
Aye.
Sorry, is that Martha? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. Could you say that again, please?
Okay, so this is an aye for tabling the resolution.
Aye.
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 Nay.
Okay, nay for tabling it?
Nay.
Okay.
Nay.
Okay. Okay, moving on to resolution. Authorizing the village manager to sign contract documents for stop loss insurance coverage and further authorizing the village treasurer to pay the required premium to effect coverage. Resolved that upon review by the Corporation Counsel, the village manager is authorized to execute the necessary documents to enter into a contract with Tokyo Marine HCC 401 Edgewater Place, Suite 400, Wakefield, Massachusetts 01880 to provide stop loss insurance coverage for the village's self-funded health plan for the term effective January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, with a deductible of $175,000 at a monthly rate per enrollee of $14.22 per aggregated premium and $124.94 per specific premium, and be it further resolved that the village treasurer is authorized to pay the required premium of $467,577 to effect coverage. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments on the board? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Fire Department appointment, Austining Steamer Company number 1, resolved that
Where did
upon,
all of these come from?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, it's just that these weren't on the agenda when we approved it because Resolution J was the last one on Friday. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay, they were added, I think, Monday afternoon, I believe. Fire Department appointment.
Wasn't made aware of that.
Okay. Fire Department appointment, Austining Steamer Company number 1, resolved that upon the recommendation of the Fire Chief, Tessa Freed Austining, New York, was elected an active member of Austining Steamer Company number 1 for interior firefighting. Do I have a
Point of correction, it's Austining Hose Company number 1, not Austining Steamer Company.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion? As amended?
I so moved that motion as corrected.
As amended. Amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Fire Department appointment, Washington Hook and Ladder number 2, resolved that upon the recommendation of the Fire Chief, Benjamin Randolph of Austin, New York, was elected an active member, Washington Hook and Ladder number 2 for interior firefighting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments on the board? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Okay, is there any continuing business of the board?
Martha, there was another appointment. Do you remember there was a resolution? There was a Matthew Gibney. That appeared on the original agenda. It was at the very beginning. And I mentioned it should have been moved to the end. So there's a Matthew Gibney to be elected as an active member to Washington Hook and Ladder
No,
number 2.
that was from a different agenda that I had copied over. I just was trying.
My apologies. I didn't realize that.
No, it didn't get published that way. Sorry.
We did him last meeting.
Well, you can get appointed twice. But okay, thank you.
It's okay. It's okay, Stuart. Again, is there any continuing business of the board?
There is not.
Okay. Is there any new business of the board?
No.
Okay. Is there anybody here who would like to address the board on any issue not related to the agenda but of relevance to the common good of the village?
I see that Bob Durayo has raised his hand. I will promote him to panelist. Welcome, Bob. If you'd like to turn on your camera, go right ahead, and please do unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Bob Durayo. As everyone knows, there is a large community of people who work in the entertainment industry that live in Austin. In particular, people who work on Broadway and in the other theater venues. Recently, the Metropolitan Opera has used the COVID pandemic as an excuse to try and bust the stagehands union. They have locked them out unless they agree to a 30% pay cut. Now, understanding that the health benefits for the stagehands are directly related to salary. They're asking for a 30% pay cut, not only in take-home pay, but also to their health insurance in the middle of a deadly pandemic. I sent a letter to the board asking the board to make a motion and pass it, a resolution condemning the management of the Metropolitan Opera for hurting so many people who live in Ossining and in Westchester County. Our newly elected state senator, Elijah Melnick, Sandy Galiff, our assemblywoman, George, our county executive, and Sandra, Catherine Borgia, who is our representative in the county legislature, have all agreed to do so. I'm hoping you would do so as well this evening. Thank you.
Bob, we were going to send a letter, and I believe that the board is entirely supportive of me sending a letter using the language that you had shared with us in another draft that someone else had done on behalf of the whole Board of Trustees. Thank you very much for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Bob.
Is there anybody else who would like to comment during the public comment period? This is a time where you can have up to 3 minutes to discuss any matter of general interest to the village. Give a moment for people to raise their hands. Seeing no one. All right. Motion to adjourn. Is there any, there's no executive session tonight, right? All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Madam Mayor, I would like to adjourn this meeting in honor of Andrew Pankin.
Very well. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.